Check it, I told you I'd get to you. I'm always pushing hard and trying to get out. It's annoying why you sharing me.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back once again to this just rant to the Cosenia hosting you to the sign off imitation. No, duplicators, superstar Tim Vicious in. It's that time of year. We're going over Wrestlemania. And oh no, it was not in the Thunderdome. No, this time it was in Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. And oh dear God, night one was what the first hour was a what the fuck. I kid you not, because, okay, the pre-show, it happened. Pre-show happened, it was what it was. It was just a talk. No pre-show matches or nothing. Then the main show starts. It starts out with Vince and all of the roster out on stage. Vince taking the helm, thanking everyone in attendance of joining, saying on how, you know, we've all missed you. You are the key element to this. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here, and welcomed everyone to WrestleMania. And as much as everyone shits on Vince McMahon, and whether it's rightfully so or not, you know, you can argue that, and I'm not going to sit here and argue it. He was the right man to do that because, well, it's his fucking company. No different than, let's just say for the hell of it, AEW winds up doing full stadium shows. Not where they have the wrestlers sitting ringside. No, I'm not talking that. I'm talking where they go and have actual fucking full stadium shows, just like WrestleMania was. You know, you're gonna see fucking Cody out there. You know why? Because he's the fucking poster child of it. Just like Vince McMahon is the fucking poster child of WWE. And you'd wind up seeing Tony Khan at some point out there saying thank you to everyone. I'm just saying that was what it was. Now to the show itself. The first fucking hour was hit with a fucking rain delay oh my god. I couldn't help but laugh. Because all I kept thinking was, first we had COVID, and then within a matter of like 3 or 4 days they had to move WrestleMania from Raymond James Stadium into the fucking Performance Center, and now we're getting a rain delay and from fucking squall warnings, and it's just, oh man, it just felt like at some point somebody had to think, you know, I'm pretty sure somebody went up to Vince like, you know, you remember when you did that match with Shawn Michaels against Shawn Michaels and God? You know, I'm pretty sure he's getting back at you now for all this. I'm pretty sure somebody had to have, but hands down, my new favorite WrestleMania moment is seeing Michael Cole and Samoa Joe and Rain Ponchos just looking so bewildered and confused. Oh my god, that was just so fucking hilarious. I'm still laughing over it. Oh. I have to print that picture out and save it for prosperity. Whew. Anyways, eventually the squall passes and then the show goes on, as they say. And first out was Drew McIntyre making his way to the ring. And then out comes Bobby Lashley. This is the first match of the night. Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley for the World Championship. This was a damn good match. Real good power game to start. Had nice back and forth with Drew dictating the pace. You know, I can't stress this enough. If you got the time and the finances, go on the Impact Plus, sign up for it. You know, and look up the Drew Galloway versus Bobby Lashley stuff from like 2016, I think it was. And Jesus, so fucking that short amount of time. But man, their shit was fucking killer. They were putting on fucking clinic. They were, or wouldn't say a clinic, you know, that's all a matter of interpretation, but they were putting on fucking killer matches, man. Just, oh, this was a beautiful match. I thought this was a good way to start the show, you know. Some people were saying, oh, well, Sasha and Bianca should main event. No, it should be the World Championship. Here's my thing. I do think in the old school sense, yes, you should have the world title match be the main event. However, I am also smart enough to know the main event should be what the main attraction is. Are people really paying to see World Champion A versus Challenger B? Or are they paying to see the big draw go against the other big draw? And sometimes you don't need to be the champion to be the biggest draw. That's just on how it is. But either way, match came to an end when McIntyre, he was starting to build up some momentum. Looked like he was hyping up for the Claymore, doing the countdown. 3, 2, 1. Got like 2 or 3 steps in. Next, MVP did something to distract him. Like, what the fuck did you just say, dude? And then stopped. Went to go do it again, missed completely, then Lashley popped in the hurt lock, made McIntyre pass out, you're a winner, and still world champion. And thus leading into the following night, McIntyre going into a triple threat #1 contenders match, winning and becoming the new #1 contender, and now, yeah. So we're going to have McIntyre versus Lashley at Backlash, coming up in about 5 weeks. Next up, we got the women's tag turmoil match, and yeah, this match felt really clunky and awkward. Not just it really did. You know, it started off with Lana and Naomi, with Carmella and Billie Kay, and a lot of people were being critical of Billie Kay, seeing like, oh, she seems awkward, like she doesn't know what to do. I don't know. To me personally, it came off like she was meant to be. You know, like she was meant to be that awkward because, you know, think about it. She's been doing, if you look at my resume, coming off like, hey, I'm trying to make myself noticed, I'm over here, and she gets herself noticed by Carmella, and now she's trying to make herself look good and overcompensating in the process. That's just on how it came off. Carmella and Billie Kay wound up winning that round, and then out came the Riott Squad, which was a quick little back and forth scuffle, which then led to them winning, and then Mandy and Dana Brooke coming out, and Mandy Rose had quite possibly the most awkward of moments for WrestleMania ever, as she's coming out, slips on the walkway that's wet from the rain that happened, and then just whoa, boom. But give her credit, the second she touched down, she picked herself back up and moved like it never happened. And at one point in the match, Dana Brooke had like 1/4 of a nip slip, which if you go back and you watch, you could see the camera went straight to black, and then yeah. So it just felt like this was one of those matches that just felt like, man, if it could go wrong, it did go wrong. Mandy and Dana wound up losing that one. The Riott Squad got the win on that, and then and of course, because let's have an already awkward match have a fucking roll-up finish. Can we just stop with the fucking roll-ups, please? Now comes Natayla and Tamina, and they pretty much led and dictated the pace of the rest of the match. They got the win doing a heart attack and then a super fly splash. And alright, I'm going to say this about that. I'm all, second, third, fourth generation wrestlers, wrestlers coming from a long family legacy, dynasty, lineage, and all that jazz. Okay, cool, whatever. Here's my thing. Don't make them fucking get... I'm just sick and tired of seeing ones that came from past stars feeling like that they gotta do the moves that their parents did. You know? I mean, I get it. Randy does a superplex like his dad did. Okay? But he doesn't go and try and make that his big go-to thing. You know? But for fucking Natalya, it's everything she does. It's pretty much damn near like Brett or her dad or someone else in the fucking family. Just for fuck's sake. Be your own individual fucking self. I mean, for fuck's sake, at least Tamina goes and throws out super kicks and before she does a superfly splash. Which, by the way, everyone does a fucking splash, so it's not even really... So you can't even really be too annoyed on that, seeing that shit. Either way, Natalya and Tamina won, so on night 2 they're going to go against Nia and Shayna Baszler, which we'll get to in a moment. But next match, Seth Rollins versus Cesaro. This was a great fucking match. Great classic ROH feel. Claudio Cassio against Tyler Black. Oh, this one caught me right in the old nostalgia feels right here. You know, and growing up in Philadelphia, I was there when ECW folded, and Ring of Honor was very much so that promotion that helped fill that void of ECW leaving, and then, well, what else is there now? And damn it, botch. Ring of Honor was there to pick it up, so Ring of Honor does hold a very special place in my heart, and knowing these two guys work their asses off in ROH, seeing it was just like, wow. Seeing from where they started compared to now, it's just, woof. That's what I absolutely love. I really dug the shit out of this match. I can't stress it enough. You know, go and watch this match. I really fucking implore it. Seth dug into every last bit of his moveset to go and try and put fucking Cesaro down. Pulling out, like, twirling splashes. Doing his fucking curb stomps. Even pulling out the fucking pedigree. Still, nothing stopped him. Cesaro wound up getting him in a fireman's carry. Then swung him around. And then did the fucking... Then Cesaro swing. Neutralizer. Got the 1-2-3. Cesaro then won. So big ups to him on that. Next up, tag action. New Day versus Uncle Allen, AJ Styles, and Omos. And this had a nice, good, fast pace to start, in which Styles was the punching bag for it, which, I'm not going to lie, this was rather interesting because, you know, everyone always likes to do the old cliche, and old cliches come from somewhere, right? That, oh, WWE doesn't know on how to book giants. WWE doesn't know on how to do this with this one or that one or this one. Listen, if they didn't know on how to book giants, I want you to think, how the hell did they handle Andre? How the hell did they handle Taker, who is pretty much pretty much damn near a giant, as well as Sid, Big Show, Kane? You know, listen, they're giants, but not everyone is fucking invincible, and sometimes some guys gotta take losses and some guys gotta eat plates full of shit. It's part of business. Not everyone gets to be at the fucking top for forever. Either way, AJ was the punching bag, and it was just building up, building the anticipation when Omos would eventually get the tag in. He did, and then Kofi and Woods, it was like in a Friday the 13th movie, where once they saw the tag, it was like when when you think you escaped the killer, you open up the door to get out of it, to leave the cabin, and then the slasher's right there, and you just have those awkward, like, 5 seconds of, oh no. And then Omos came in and fucking murdered them. He murdered them boys. Something fierce. Got the win. Omos got the win doing a choke slam, like powerbomb onto Kofi. 1, 2, 3. That was it. So your winners and new tag team champions, Omos and AJ Styles. And AJ is now also in the record books, I do believe, for being being a Grand Slam champion in TNA, but as well as being a Grand Slam champion in WWE, and I don't think anyone else has had has that in the credentials. Next up, we got a salad steel cage. Yes, I did pull out a Bruce Pritchard joke. Shane McMahon and Braun Strowman in the cage match. And, well, before the match even happened, as Braun is walking to the door to get in the cage, Elias and fucking Gunner come out of nowhere, hit him with a chair, start beating the shit out of him, and then they get in, and then he eventually gets in and they start working. Shane's working on Braun's knee pretty good, early on. It was an ugly beating on both sides, really. I wouldn't say it was like bowling shoe ugly, but this was like, ugh, this is fucking ugly. If I had to, I don't like to do the whole armchair quarterbacking thing, and I know some may make the argument, hey, I'm doing that here. No, what I'm doing is going over what happened and giving it to you guys, because some folks don't have the courtesy or the luxury of being able to see the shows, and some actually like hearing this lovable bastard's view on things. But if you're going to say you wanted to do a cage match to keep people out, I'm just thinking, wouldn't it have made sense to do like a Hell in a Cell, or even yet take a page out of the old JBL book when he was world champion, way to ensure people don't go in or interfere, put barbed wire up there. Not saying you had to use it, but just saying, have the barbed wire there, that way it's implied, oh, well, you can't climb over, nobody can climb in, and nobody can climb out, so you're stuck in there. What a shock. Just saying. Either way, a decent enough match. It was nothing really to write home about, but match came to an end when Shane, he's on the outside of the cage, Braun's on the other side of it, and Shane's teasing him. Braun grabs his fingers, pulls him through the grates of the cage with one hand, and with the other punches a hole through it, rips the cage open to pull Shane back in, and then starts beating him up some. Shane eventually starts trying to work his way, Shane starts trying to work his way out, and then they eventually get to the top, and Braun throws him off of the top of the cage, and then comes down and then hits him with it. Throws him up. Excuse me. Throws him off of the top of the cage and then hits him with the power slam. 1, 2, 3. Braun Strowman was one of the guys Drew McIntyre had the triple threat with. We'll get to the third opponent soon enough. Next up, Miz and Morrison going against Damian Priest and Bad Bunny, and holy shit. This was a holy shit moment because, one, Bad Bunny wound up goes up there with fucking Rusev now for killer fucking entrances, standing on top of a semi with it driving in, just like, holy shit, that was fucking badass. That goes up there like with Rusev coming in on a fucking tank. And then, as far as his in-ring work, the kid fucking performed. He fucking moved. He could work. Holy shit. Bad Bunny fucking worked, man. Bunny was doing good. He was the punching bag for a little bit. Priest got the hot tag and started cleaning up. But man, I give credit where credit's due. And I'm not normally a big fan of injecting celebrities into the actual in-ring work, you know? I'm very much so in the sense of, listen, you want to use celebrity credentials, okay, that's one thing, but you're going to bring them in and actually expect them to perform? I don't know, man. I mean, there's guys that spent... You get into it, yeah, but you don't really start getting the feel and the regular flow of on how to work into a ring until you're like about 5 years in. And then you don't wind up really getting like a whole like super good and pro level until you're like 10 or 15 and such in. And it... But like, man, Bunny fucking performed, and I tip my hat and I give him credit. He fucking worked, man. And the match came to an end where they did like a doomsday device to the Miz, 1, 2, 3. That was it. So yeah, and it had a follow-up match on Raw where it was Miz and Morrison doing a handicap match against Priest. Twist was, it was a sudden spur of the moment open challenge where Miz and Morrison were both in regular suits, as well as Maurice was ringside helping promote their reality show, which I don't give a shit on reality TV. I fucking hate all of that shit. But this was booked in the way I always say handicap matches should, because Miz and Morrison won, and you know, yeah. Next up, we got the main event of the night for night one, Bianca Belair going against Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's title. And this, I gotta tell you, this was really nice. And right at the start, right when the bell rang, you could see Bianca starting to get a little emotional from it, you know. And at first, all I could think is, you know, there's like a little bit of a coat, like, I was thinking like a coach, like, kid, now's not the time, now's not the time to get like that, and right when the match is starting, and then the crowd started feeding into it, and then that just washed away, like, no, you know what, that fucking works, that works with it, that was good. So I dug that. But this had nice feeling at the start, you know, Bianca was really showing up, man. Really showed up and showed on what she can do. At one point, Sasha, she went and did a suicide dive through the ropes. Bianca caught her overhead, walked up the stairs, and then threw her back into the ring. You know, really great storytelling with this match. I highly recommend you go and watch this one, definitely. Match came to an end where eventually Sasha, she was trying to pull Bianca's hair to get her over to her. Bianca just took it off and then wham! Whipped her with it right on the side, and then caught her with the KOD, kiss of death, 1, 2, 3. So your winner and new SmackDown Women's Champion, Bianca Belair. So now we go to night 2. It starts off with Randy Orton going against The Fiend, and The Fiend wound up having a fucking hell of an entrance, because at first it was Alexa Bliss coming out in all of her cute little creepy way where, you know, you're not quite sure if you should be scared or attracted and all that jazz. And then there's a giant fucking Jack-in-the-Box right in front of the ring. And honestly, the first thing I thought of was, when I saw the Jack-in-the-Box, was Jim Cornette. Well, goddamn, have him come out of the fucking box and he'll be over, motherfucker. And Alexa Bliss turned the crank for the Jack-in-the-Box, and then boom, lights went, and the Fiend rose out of it, looking like a normal Fiend, not the extra crispy one. He ain't extra crispy no more. He was all sorts of normal. And just, Rain was like, what? And then the Fiend jumped off, attacked him. It had the fucking really weird, the wonky, creepy red light for it, which was, hate that. Hate the red light on him. You know? But it was, Fiend came out of the box, you know, starts beating up Randy. Very much so like your atypical Fiend match. He was impervious, no selling, pervious to pain, rising up quickly, but the fucking ending, you know? This goes to an old life lesson, you know? And you could tie this with movies, TV shows, wrestling, music, whatever. You could have a really shitty movie, but if you got a fucking boss-ass killer ending, nobody's gonna forget, nobody's gonna think twice about the shitty movie. Everyone's gonna think, man, the closing part of that movie was fucking sick. You know? I mean, you look back, and I'll use this as an example. You look back at Avengers Infinity War. You know, when Thanos did the snap, majority of people don't even think or remember about the ending being Nick Fury calling Captain Marvel. No. You know what most people remember? Peter Parker going up to Iron Man saying, I don't feel so good. And then poof, turning to dust. That right there, prime example. People remember that more than anything else. But back to what I was saying before I go too far off the reserves. Alexa Bliss, right out of nowhere, sitting on top of the Jack in the Box with this fucking weird, with this crown on her, with black shit oozing down off of her, red eye contacts, red eyes, and the Fiend just looking like, oh, like bewildered, not knowing what the hell is going on, and then Randy slamming him into the box and popping him with an RKO, and then it ends with the Fiend, with Randy getting out, and then the Fiend eventually getting back up, staring at Alexa like, what the? And then the lights fade, and then they're both gone. The following night on Raw, Alexa has her little Alexa's Playground, talking about on how, you know, she was this little girl left in the darkness. The darkness was always there to protect her, but then it went away, and then she realized she didn't need it. She could fend for herself. And then she brought out her new friend Lily, which is the fucking most creepiest doll I never knew I wanted to buy for my fucking toy collection ever until now. And then the Fiend had a thing on the Firefly Funhouse saying as Bray Wyatt saying on how he's back, he feels reinvigorated and renewed, and you know, it's going to be a whole new Bray and all that jazz. Next up, now we get the women's tag match, Natalya and Tamina against Nia and Shayna. Nice little power game to start with Tamina and Nia. You know, Natty wound up working as the team punching bag, and then Tamina got the hot tag. It was decent enough. It was a hell of a lot better than the tag turmoil match the night prior, but match came to an end. Natalya wound up putting Nia in a sharpshooter, and then Shayna Baszler, who was legal, snuck in, popped in the Karabuta clutch, choked out Natalya, got the 1-2-3. Following night on Raw, another botch. Following night on Raw, Mandy and Dana wound up poking fun at Nia, were poking at Nia, beat her up, and then they wound up having a tag match where Nia Jax was tripping over herself going into the ring at multiple points, so it looks like now they're trying to have Nia be like on the ass end of the comedy. Next up, we got Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens, and oh my god. To quote Kevin Steen from Ring of Honor, you and I are destined to do this forever. And the fact that you got fucking Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in a match at WrestleMania made me so fucking happy. Again, because the ROH nostalgia love in me, and the fact that I know somewhere out there, Jim Cornette was having a fucking aneurysm over these two having a match, and that put a bigger smile on my face. for whatever reason, they injected the Logan Paul thing, having him sitting ringside watching. I get it. You know, you want to add celebrity credentials. Logan Paul, he's a big pay-per-view buy rate. You know, he's a big name out there on the internet, good or bad, you know. I can't stand the motherfucker. If I saw him on the street, I'd probably deck him. But I get it, business-wise. They did what they did. And I'll get to the payoff on him being out there in a minute. But man, Owens was leading early on. It was just as good as any of their other stuff from Ring of Honor. I wouldn't put it up there with La Revenja, Last Man Standing, which, might I add, on a personal note, is the only Last Man Standing match that I truly enjoy watching. But man, this was just as good as any of their ROH stuff. I wouldn't put yeah, you could say, well, what about their match with Ladder Wars or, you know, any of the other stuff, but, you know, if you're going to compare the Ladder War stuff to this, you got to think, that's a ladder match. This ain't. You know, and that's why I'm not including the La Revenja, because that was a last man standing. I'm just talking regular one-on-ones. You know, this is good shit right here. You know, Kevin Owens got the win doing a stunner. Afterwards, Logan Paul came in, you know, and then congratulated Owens. Sami Zayn had a conniption fit over it, was going off on him. Paul shoved him, then Sami was like, this is going to be on How It Is? I invite you. You're my guest, and you're going to cheer for him. You know what? The hell with you both. So Paul goes back, congratulating Owens. Owens is like, fuck are you? And then he's like, yeah, come on. Congratulations, huh? Right? Boom! Pops a stunner. So, heaven forbid, let's just think about this for a minute. WWE injects a person that majority of their fan base would not like, just to have the sole intent of having them lose and get hurt by the babyface. Shock again. Next matchup, we got Sheamus going against Riddle for the US title. And oh damn, God almighty, this was a damn good match. Jimmy was dictating the pace. You know, this was very much so a very good match. I absolutely fucking loved it. Riddle had a nice small little comeback. Nothing big, nothing fancy though. Match came to an end when Sheamus actually popped a bro kick onto Riddle right in mid rotation of a springboard moonsault, which, oh man. Because then at the end, after he got the 1, 2, 3, you just see Riddle sitting there, leaning up against the ropes with the blood coming out of his face. That just had more of a storytelling feel. Like, man, I just got my shit kicked in. I'm spitting out blood and I just lost my title. Fuck. So, yeah. I absolutely fucking loved it. Next up, we got Big E going against Apollo Crews in a Nigerian drum battle, which, like I said last week, pretty much a glorified no DQ match. You know, it's a different way to polish up the idea of a no DQ match. It started off with them two swinging Singapore canes at each other, and yes, I say Singapore canes because that's what I fucking grew up on, not kendo sticks. They swung Singapore canes at each other, you know. Had some really nice physicality. Also, big props on the fact that Big E wound up having Wale play him down to the ring, which, I don't know, I thought was really cool. Some people are like, oh, Wale's phoning it in. You know, even if he is, he's fucking having a live performer play him down to the ring. How many other people can say they had a fucking any kind of live musician play them down to a ring? Not many. You know, had Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Undertaker, fucking Randy Orton. Those are the only 4 I can think of other than, you know, off the top of my head, excluding from this show. But either way, as far as this match went, you know, I dug the shit out of it. I thought it was good. This was a nice coming out party, if you will, for Apollo. You know, he got the win when Big E, he was setting up to go and do the big ending when, right out of nowhere, Dabba-Kato came out of nowhere, beat the shit out of Big E, and then, then Apollo Crews wound up pinning him. Dabba-Kato did like a choke slam on him, 1, 2, 3. So your winner and new Intercontinental Champion, Apollo Crews. Next up, we got Rhea Ripley versus Asuka. Rhea Ripley came out with New Year's Day playing her down to the ring, which, again, people were saying, oh, they were phoning it in. Dude, fucking enjoy the show. If you want to sit there and just watch just for the sole intent of looking for where the flaws are, you know what would be more effective? Picking up the goddamn remote and clicking it off. Otherwise, all you're doing is feeding into the machine that you swear you hate. Rhea Ripley went against Asuka. And this was really nice, fast feeling out at the start, Rhea was leading early on, doing the power game. Asuka was really dictating the pace, had a lot of nice physicality in it. I dug the shit out of this match. Then, match came to an end. Asuka, she was throwing kicks at Rhea. Rhea was just down on her knees like, come on, that all you got? Asuka went to go for a roundhouse. Rhea ducked, got out the way, got on her feet, hit a riptide on her, 1, 2, 3. That was it, and your winner and new women's champion, Rhea Ripley, which I do believe Rhea is now in the history books for being the only woman to be NXT Women's UK Champion, NXT Women's Champion, and now Raw Women's Champion. So, yeah, there's that. They had a rematch the following night on Raw, and it was intervened by Charlotte, who came out and attacked both, because prior to the match, Charlotte cut a promo saying on how, she couldn't make it for her obvious reason. She didn't openly say it, but she said it on Twitter some time ago. She wasn't doing nothing because she had COVID. So, and she was saying, I'm not on WrestleMania. So the rest of the locker room's like, oh, this is my chance to shine. This is my chance to be on. And she said, basically, I'm paraphrasing it all, but she was saying, everyone says they want the opportunity. I am the opportunity. And, I'll say this about that. Excuse me. As much as people give Charlotte crap, again, whether it's deserved or not can be argued. She's a fucking main attraction. She's a fucking attraction. You're gonna have big time name. You got a big time name right there. Not just in her legacy and her namesake, but in the fact that she's a fucking solid performer. That's all there is, plain and simple. So yeah, now we come to the main event of the night. Daniel Bryan versus Edge versus Roman Reigns. I was extremely disappointed we didn't get Tony Chimmel to introduce Edge because nothing against Greg Hamilton. Hands down, my two favorite ring announcers currently have to be Bobby Cruise, again, Ring of Honor, and Greg Hamilton. But Greg trying to do the Tony Chimmel rated R superstar for Edge, just not the same, man. But, man, right at the start, Roman asserting dominance, taking out Bryan and Edge at the start, and then, man, this was just straight up bowling shoe fucking ugly. All guys going all out at each other, and I dug the shit out of the little one-on-one moments between Bryan and Edge, man. I dug that shit like fucking A. That was good. And then, hands down, I will say this, Edge stole the show. And for everyone that was going out there saying, Edge has still got it, man, Edge has still got it. No, it's not that he still got it. The man never lost it. And to anyone that wants to make an argument about age being a factor you know, about for being a performer. You know, here's the thing. Prior to the internet age, back when wrestling was in the quote-unquote golden age, you know, in the 60s and the 70s, you had wrestlers that were going off in their fucking 40s and 50s and all. I mean, hell, good example, AWA, Nick Bockwinkel wrestled well into his late 40s, into his 50s. But, you know, the man could fucking perform and deliver. So I challenge you, you want to go and question on age, man, what the hell does that say about shit from back then? What's that say about some of the guys right now? Because, you know, you got fucking Shane, who was able to perform in his 50s. You got fucking Chris Jericho, who's in his 50s. AJ Styles, who's in his mid-40s. You know, wrestlers don't typically start to hit their stride until they start to hit like their until they typically hit their 30s and 40s. You know? But either way, Edge, man, like I said, he stole the show on this match. He stole the match. And at one point when Bryan and Roman were both down, he wound up it was like something snapped and it was just rage, fucking rage. And he went and grabbed chairs, went and popped a concerto on the Daniel Bryan, was about to on Roman when Jey Uso showed up out of nowhere, stopped him, and and then Jey attacks him, Edge neutralizes him, and then Roman, boom, takes out Edge, pops him with a concerto, and then throws Edge on top of Bryan, and then pins both, getting the 1, 2, 3, your winner, and still Universal Champion Roman Reigns. And there is potential for a possible rematch, given the fact that, you know, Roman pinned both guys on top of each other, and the ref argument could be made, a ref could have counted Edge getting that pinfall because he was on top of Bryan. So yeah. So, that is it for this week's show, folks. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this. Make sure y'all check me out on the Twitter at Tim Vicious. Also, on that Facebook, give me Tim Ash. If you don't want me on my Twitter, let me know you found me on there from here. Or my Twitter at Tim Vicious. So, anything, I got Creed Jones going. Also, thank you to contributor to the show, LFC Lingerie Fighting Championship. There are a little bit of wrestling, a little bit of men, a whole lot of attractive women wearing a little bit of nothing. Also, thank you to my executive producer, Ali Ray Ben, who did provide the music for this week's show. Make sure y'all check out his shit. It's out there on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Xbox, YouTube, all that good shit. Details are down below. Also, make sure y'all check out these Classcasts already on Twitter. Kenny Killer, DSB_IV, Diabolica RA, Sergeant Curry Hanson, Dubs in your face. And folks, like I was saying, y'all give me a great rating. Fuck you.
They hating on the kid.